Alright, this is the video for section 2.1, objective 3, which is translating phrases into mathematical equations. So I've copied a couple of charts from your textbook. The first one is what I would consider one of the most important things in translating phrases into mathematical equations, and that's all the things that mean equals. So just take a quick look at that chart. A couple of those are common sense. Is equal to, for one, obviously means equals. But there are a couple there that will trip you up if you're not careful. The second chart I've copied is the procedure for expressing statements as mathematical equations. The first step, of course, is to read the problem carefully. Now, that's one that you may take for granted. You need to read the entire problem before you try to write anything down or pick anything out, just to make sure you understand what it's asking you. Then, the second one is to determine the unknown, assign a variable to it, and then step 3 is to determine the phrase that represents the equal sign, and that divides it into two halves. And then you're going to have to find all the words that mean all the mathematical things. Numbers are pretty easy to find. Operations sometimes are a little bit difficult. So we'll go through some examples and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's example 3a, which says twice the sum of a number and 3 is the same as 4 less than the number. The first thing we want to do is find the equal sign, and it'll be this phrase, is the same as. That's going to be the equal sign of the problem. So we'll go ahead and write that down here. After we find that, that breaks our problem in half. So everything on the left side of that red box is on the left side of the equation. Everything on the right side of that box is on the right side of the equation. The second thing you want to do is find the variables. So anytime you see a number or the number, you're going to just take that and replace it with a variable, and we'll just use x for both of those. You're only going to have one variable in each one of these equations, so don't make one x and the other one y. They're both the same variable because it's referencing that same number both times. So the next thing we look at is our operations. So the first operation that I see there is addition, and it's right there, sum. The second operation I see is less than, and that's going to be minus. Now less than and more than mean something a little bit different than just plus and minus, so we'll talk about that in just a second. The third thing I want to look for, is my numbers. So I see the number 2 here. I see the number 3 here. I see the number 4 here. So now I've broken it down into all of its parts. So I'm just going to go from there and write this equation. So it says twice the sum of a number and 3. Now let me explain that. Twice means times 2, right? Sum of means I want the answer of x plus 3, which is right here. Okay, I want the answer of that before I multiply it by 2. That's why it uses sum, which means the answer in an addition problem. Okay, that's why it says sum and not plus. So sum means give me the answer of that first and then multiply it by 2. That's why I put in parentheses. And then on the other side, it says 4 less than the number. I said less than and more than mean something a little bit weird, so we got to talk about that. Less than and more than not only mean add, subtract, but they also mean to switch places of the thing before with the thing after. So I'm not going to write 4 minus x. I'm going to write x minus 4. That's as far as we have to go today. Doesn't say to solve. We'll do that later. That was a lot. My advice may be for you to back this up and watch that again. Alright, so same process in this example. The first thing you'll want to do is look for that equal sign. And in this case, it is the same as. So that's going to give us our equal sign. It's going to divide this problem into two parts. The first part is going to be that left side, and the second part is going to be the right side of the equation. So the left side the operation that I see is difference. Difference means subtraction, so I'm going to put that subtraction sign here. And then I also see another operation, which is times. On the right side, I see an operation, quotient, and quotient is the answer in a division problem. So I can either use the division bar, or I can use a fraction bar. In this case, I'm going to use a fraction bar. Again, just like we talked about before, anytime we see a number or the number, that's going to be my variables. I'm just going to replace those with x's. Okay? So it says the difference of 3 times a number. So the number 3 times the number x, so that's 3x, and 6. So the difference of 3x and 6 means 3x minus 6. On the right side it says the quotient of a number x and 9. So that gives me that side. Again, if you need to see it again, just back it up and watch it one more time. Alright, to add to your little homework assignment, on this one, you're going to do student check 3, A and B on page 95. And again, you can just add that to the same page.